If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
And we're back. Welcome back, guys. Survival Dispatch News. I'm John, hosting tonight with my buddy Chris Evan, who's currently off camera, and my partner in crime and out of crime, Mr. Dave Kemp, and the Mad Dog. I mean, that works.
That works. Yeah.
Mad Bomber.
You're just mad that I keep picking on you.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah. Mad Bomber here with us live, and then remotely we have Mr. Craig Ware from Stay Brewed Coffee. How are you doing tonight, brother?
He's froze up.
Coffee's froze up. Yes. Frozen coffee. Okay. And so
right.
Back in there. Mr. Jeff MD down here in the corner, our resident CIA expert. And then next to him is our intelligence officer extraordinaire, Mr. S2. And then a very special guest with us tonight, Mr. Jeff Capps. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much for what an invitation. Invitation. That's very nice. Doing well. Yep. Thank you very much, guys. Good to see all of you.
Great. And S2, I didn't actually ask you how you're doing tonight. How you doing tonight, brother?
I am doing fine. I got to watch Z. Klaus Schwab eat shit today.
Yes, we will get to that for sure. Just to give everybody a reminder, we are out here in Las Vegas at SHOT Show. It's been a pretty exciting couple of days for us. I know me and Dave have walked around, gotten some contacts in the industry, and just doing some really cool stuff. There's a lot of really cool people out here, and just actually got to meet in person for the first time Mr. Tony Blower downstairs. Really awesome guy, and some other awesome people. Sheriff Mark Lamb, got to meet him earlier, and yeah, it's just been really, really cool to see so many people gathered together. And also, these shows are running a little bit shorter than our normal, just because we're Mr. Jeff Nicholas has allowed us to use this suite for these podcasts, and it's we very, very thankful for that, so that we can continue to bring all the latest news to you good folks out there.
It's not quite like the movie Hangover, but kind of similar.
No, the tiger, I think, is still in the bathroom. And I don't know where Mike Tyson was. Last time I saw him, he was at the Daniel Defense booth, I think.
Where did Ty go, by the way?
I don't know.
He's going to facial tattoo.
Yeah. Our camera guy, he's like very sneaky. He'll just move off and find some dude to talk to and bring us back a bunch of information. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, on to the topic at hand, and that is really, I think this first couple of days with Trump have been
dynamic.
That's one word you could use. Explosive, an absolute wrecking ball to the spirit of the age, the elitists that want to control our lives. Pretty incredible stuff, to say the least. And so we'll start off with that. And first off, Mr. S2 brought up the Davos situation. So I'm going to pop this article up real quick. Trump, there were some highlights from his his speech on Davos, and that this is the golden age of America. And he took some shots at the globalists in Davos. I'm going to play this real quick from Alex Jones' X account.
I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family. and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA.
You know, the Chinese are just like, this freaking guy.
So, with that video in mind, I'm going to get some snap reactions from. Let's start with the guys that are remote, and then we'll get some reactions from us here in Vegas. So, Jeff, what are your thoughts as you listen to that that address by President Trump?
Which Jeff?
You.
Okay. No, man, I am so glad somebody had the cojones to step up and talk all this, because some butts are drawing up in some of these places, and I could not be happier about it. I even hear my friends that are liberals squealing about the fact that, if he just does half of what they say he does, then he's going to do, then we can actually probably like him. So fine with me. Keep talking.
Yep, absolutely. Jeff, MD, what are your snap reactions to that address?
Well, I am thrilled that we have a leader who finally recognizes and acts like we are the biggest freaking market in the world, and that people should be begging us to do business here. And instead of sucking up to everybody and saying, "Oh, come sell your crap here, but we can't sell our stuff there," hell with that.
Yeah. I mean, used to, and just to respond to that real quick, used to, made in America meant something. I remember when I was a kid, Walmart had a huge campaign for all their stuff being made in America. That was the norm until, really, honestly, I think it started with Bill Clinton giving them most favored nation status with China and increasing the, ability for them to manufacture this stuff at slave wages, which caused us to, our low-level manufacturing just slowly moved overseas, whether it's Mexico or China or anything like that. And people talk about globalism like it's a good thing. It's a terrible thing for a country that's trying to be the best and trying to be the top. So, S2, I go to you and see what your immediate snap reactions are to that.
Team America, fuck yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I see the eagle with the AR-15s walking down the beach.
No, I thought I listened to the whole thing from start to finish, and watching Klaus Schwab grovel at the feet of Trump was the highlight of my day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you guys a chance to quickly talk as I pull up the next.
Kind of what I thought, just my gut reaction is, a lot of these companies, are, investing, their companies in America and spending, $500 billion on AI and all these different things. And my thought is, I don't think these companies would decide to invest that amount of money if they only thought this run was going to last 2 years or 4 years. I think a lot of these people think we might be setting ourselves up for maybe 8 years, or longer if we do this right, things work out right. So I see a lot of people around the world taking it serious because I think that they realize this might last for quite a while.
Yep. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think Trump learned a lot of lessons this first round about how he saw how quickly everything got tossed on its head as soon as he was out of the office. So I think now, I think he's doing it right. I think he's coming back. He's gonna put the regulations in place to keep those things here so they can't be quickly overturned or anything like that, and leave the U.S. in a prosperous state for the next couple of decades at least. If he can set up the U.S. to work for a couple of decades prosperously, that will be more than any president has done in a very long time.
Here. Yeah, Chris, you got something to add to that?
Not right this second.
Not right this second.
Almost done with the brief.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to the next topic, and this is just kind of, I'll go through these articles real quick from Breitbart, and it is, this is Trump promising tariffs for products not made in America in WEF speech. Nope, that's the same article.
Did you know that Trump declares war on the NWO? I don't think you got a fresh version of it.
Oh, I don't know that I did.
The first one is highlights President Trump declares NWO defeated. The second one is Trump declares war on the NWO.
Gotcha. I'll pull those up.
And that's before chapter 1 starts.
Gotcha. Okay. Give me just a second.
Oh, you went to chapter 1. You didn't do the opening.
Probably.
Yeah, there's 2 links in the opening that set the tone. I thought something was out.
It's hard to find good help these days.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you outsource.
No,
all
we did
your
the
stuff.
first one. It was the second one. That was the one we were
Anytime,
talking about.
anytime Trump comes on TV now, I just start kind of giggling
Yeah,
and like this is. I can't wait to hear the next thing that's going to happen.
it's kind of like watching reality TV. What's he going to say to now?
It is, man. And everybody you talk to, we've talked to 100 people today or more at the SHOT Show, and everybody's like, "Man, this is great.
Yeah.
It's amazing."
Yep.
You know,
Nice.
it's can you believe what's happening? And we're like, "No, I can't believe
It's
it."
nice getting some mean tweets. You know,
I was just going to say, where's the mean tweets?
they're coming.
They're stacking up,
Yeah.
right now.
I'm sure he's got his social media team getting all kinds of mean tweets all sorted out.
Please tell me we're going to show the clip of when he goes after Bank of America guy today.
Possibly. We're working the show 20 hours a day. So
Yeah.
can't promise everything is in perfect
Yeah.
working order
Yeah.
right now.
So, yeah,
We-
give me just a second here.
Real quick, where's everybody's social batteries at? Mine's getting pretty low.
I
Not gonna
am
lie.
fried right now.
Not gonna
so-
lie.
Thank you very much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has been a truly historic week in the United States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office and we began the golden age of America. The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all 7, every one of them, all 7 swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years. And some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. Quite nice. What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do.
Here's some other highlights here. Let me play this real quick.
We'd like to see denuclearization. In fact, with President Putin prior to an election result, which was frankly ridiculous, we were talking about denuclearization of our 2 countries, and China would have come along. China has a much smaller right now nuclear armament than us, or field than us, but they're going to be catching it at some point over the next 4 or 5 years. And I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear. And I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow. And China would have come along too. China also liked it. Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear. And the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about today because you don't want to hear it. It's too depressing. So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. And I can tell you that President Putin wanted to do it. He and I wanted to do it. We had a good conversation with China. They would have been involved, and that would have been an unbelievable thing for the planet.
And finally,
Protect and defend. In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day 1, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly.
Sorry, that's so with a lot of those highlights, and he went further. There's that article literally has like probably 20 sections of the speech. So he's very clearly sending messages to the Davos crowd, the globalists, that hey, we're a sovereign nation. We're not going to allow this censorship crap to dominate us. We're not going to allow our citizens to be a part of this garbage on the world stage that is trying to impose itself on our freedom. So real quick, I don't know how many of you guys actually watched the whole speech. I personally have not watched the whole speech because we've been walking around the floor all day and talking to people. But overall, what is your feeling? And I'll give it to each one of you. So we'll start with Jeff Capps there. What is your feeling as we go through where we're at and what you feel about this first really week of having President Trump at the helm of the nation?
I just think we're headed in the right direction. And I think what I would love to see is some of the European nations, in particular, the ones that are having problems with the speech thing, which Britain is one for sure. Germany has problems. They can't say anything without fear of some form of retribution from the government. And I'm sure there are more countries than that over there that face the same thing. And some of the old used to be Soviet countries that are still under some of those, I guess what you would call it would be rules, unspoken rules that they have to be careful what they say, either on the internet or out loud. And I would love to see that spread to the world. And then the people that in WEF, the EU, and the Klaus Schwab's, who was, by the way, squirming in that chair so bad, I know his underwear was about 2 inches up his butt. And I love that. I so love seeing that. And we got a man in the White House now. We got a man. And he's going, and other men are not going to be scared to be men now, because we have something to look to. And I don't mean the guys that are on this panel, because you guys are solid, but I'm saying there's guys out there they're scared, and they don't have to be scared anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of men out there that follow strong leaders. You know, that's why you need strong leaders. If every man was a strong leader, you wouldn't need strong leaders, but you need men to say, hey, guys, follow me. We're going to go take this hill. We're going to go do this. We're going to go build an empire. Those are the kind of guys that get stuff done. I think Donald Trump's definitely one of those guys. So, Jeff MD, what's the biggest thing that you're looking forward to with all of these changes, these sweeping changes? I mean, I honestly can't think of a president that has moved faster on directly assaulting the spirit of the age and the elitists than Donald Trump has in the last 4 days. You're muted, bud.
The two biggest takeaways for me are the end of censorship, and I think that's going to ripple into Europe, because the Europeans are going to go, wait a minute, if the Americans can say anything they want, why in the hell can't we? And I think you're going to see people, especially in Britain, they're fed up with their government. You're going to see it in Germany, they're fed up with their government. And I think you're going to see people say, yeah, screw you, we're going to say what we want to say. The other one, which I think is more important to us and will have more of an impact on us, is his attack on the deep state and rooting out DEI wherever it is, firing people who are in charge of that crap and try to hide it. And they're already highlighting that, okay, yeah, they moved it like CBP. Yeah, they got rid of DEI, but they put it in a different department, and here it is, we found it. And they need to make examples of the people who do that crap. And like the Bureau of Prisons with the J6ers who, you know, they're transferring them at the last minute and stuff like that in an effort to avoid or just delay their release. They need to find those officials and fire their asses. And then the word will get out, don't screw around.
Yep. Agreed. S2, I go to you, brother.
Daddy's home. biggest things I'm looking out of this is I'm looking for the big exposures that's coming right now. You know, there's been a lot of hands up in the air the last couple of days and hair on fire about this whole mRNA thing and whatever he's doing with Gates. Well, Gates is basically begging him not to release the Epstein files. Well, guess what? He just released the JFK files today. How much of those are redacted yet? We don't know. But as far as the exposure goes, I believe that what's happening with this whole mRNA Stargate thing is he is putting Ellison in the spotlight. And what's happening right now, there's a lot of trend searches going on right now. And Larry Ellison happens to be one of those trending searches. So people are starting to research him and they're going to find out who he is. And I think what Trump has been doing is he's putting people in the spotlight on purpose to say, look, these are the people that have been doing this shit to you and they're going to do it again. So expose them.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn to Mr. Kemp here.
Yeah, I think Trump is motivating a lot of people. He's motivating everybody in America to stand up, do the right thing. And like Jeff was talking about, these people, these European countries are going to be like, hey, what about us? I'm curious about who's in charge over there. Who are the prime ministers and presidents of these other countries, UK and Italy and all these places? Is there going to even be the option for kind of this wave to keep moving throughout Europe and elsewhere? I hope there is, and it might take longer. There might take some elections. It might take some other stuff to happen, but that's, I'll be very curious to see how this attitude rolls into these other countries who really need the same thing really bad. You're talking about, Muslims taking over Europe at a pace we've never seen anything before ever. And that's causing all kinds of problems, just destroying a country essentially. And I'm curious to see how the people there are going to stand up, and if there's any way for that to happen sooner rather than later. It's going to be a little bit different with their politics, but man, you could really see this spreading, across the globe very easily.
Yep, 100%. Mike, go ahead.
But Herr Trump, we cannot have these things. We know better for you than everything that must happen. Why do you do this? We know better. What about the bugs? What about the pods? I've been waiting a week to do that.
Bravo,
We've been enlightened.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, I 100% right there with you. I think once the Europeans are able to get to that point where they can overcome, let's face it, I love a lot of our European friends, but you guys are way closer to the time when you were serfs than anybody here in the U.S. is. We've been free men and women a long time. And, we got kicked out of every self-respecting country in the world because we wouldn't be the ones to submit. They're going to have to go a lot further socially and psychologically to be able to overcome those things. They're also very class-heavy societies, a lot of separation. All these rules do not apply to the big folks. They only apply to the little people. Who cares what happens to the serfs? So, because we always have more serfs.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're going to get there. They're going to get there. Unfortunately, when the serfs do finally get there, it goes bloody really, really, really fast.
Yeah, there's a big difference between the French Revolution and the American Revolution. Read a little bit of history on that.
Yeah.
The French Revolution, not so good.
No.
We need another American Revolution in Europe, not another French.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Craig, you were out for a bit, and I'm sorry I didn't see your message, but you can go ahead and speak on that. What are you most excited about with what Trump is doing?
You're on mute, Craig.
Sorry, I'm at a technical disadvantage this evening, guys. Well, I think Trump is moving based on the mandate of his base, right? He was. It's very clear what his voting base was wanting from him, and of course, I think there's a lot of work yet to do. I think he's the right guy I think he's the right man for the job under the circumstances that we're in, given the fraudulent administration that we've had for the past 4 years and the damage that's been done. It was very satisfying to see him address that in his inauguration speech, and it's very satisfying to see him address the WEF head on the way he did. Every policy that we have in this country to date that's been implemented the past 4 years has come from the WEF. Right? I mean, that's the top of the chain there, or through the UN, or they're one and the same, right? But it was good to see him address that. I would have liked to have seen him address the ESG, which is also tied to DEI, but just more on the corporate and maybe the and business level, right? Where they use DEI to control us maybe socially, and the ESG is used to dictate how businesses are run, things they invest in, and those are not, generally speaking, they're not in the best interest of the investor or the economy. They're trying to prop up a climate change economy, if you will. So that being said, he's the right man right now. I'm glad that we're moving in this direction, and there's a lot of work to do.
Yep, 100%. So in that vein of some of the new things that he is doing, and I'm going to go through these, and then we can discuss them. Is that ICE Boston arrests criminal illegals as President Trump's mass deportations begin. So we're seeing all of this stuff start to roll out as it was promised. And I think that all of us on this panel could agree that this is probably one of the most important things that we have to do in this country to make ourselves a sovereign nation, to make sure that we actually have borders. There's there's going back to the beginnings of the Bible. God actually established order or borders in the Bible when he was talking to the people of Israel. So this is not something that's new. To have a actual sovereign nation, you have to have borders. You have to enforce your borders. Otherwise, you just get swallowed up by the outside. So, I think that's really important. Real quick, short answers. How important is this on the scale of each one of you guys as individuals? Jeff, Caps, go ahead. You're muted or something.
No, that was me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a nose breather. I like to try to cover that up when I can. It's 100% the right track to me. I live in Texas, and I've lived in Brownsville, and I've seen what they go through. And this is 25 years ago when I was living down there, and it's immensely worse now, as I still have friends down there I'm in contact with all the time. 100% the right direction. They can't do enough of it for me. And there's some certain amount of civility, but shut them down, build the wall, get the choke points up, do it like it's supposed to be done.
Yep, 100%. Craig, go to you next. Importance of this on your scale of priorities.
The border?
Yeah,
extremely important, right? We are, I can't say it better than you did, really. We're a sovereign nation. Every other country has no problem being a sovereign country. And we should be no different, right? Nobody questions China on their sovereignty. Nobody questions Japan, or you name a country. Nobody questions them on their sovereignty. But we're the ones that have to allow everyone to come in here and piggyback off of a post-industrial country and reap its benefits. And that's going to be a huge drain. That's a tactic in asymmetrical warfare. And I think we got to secure our borders. The problem is it's a little too late. There's millions of people here now, and it's already begun to get kinetic. Fortunately, that's being controlled at this point, I think, as far as what we've been seeing. But there have been some deaths and clashes up to this point that are currently low grade, but hopefully we won't see more. I seriously doubt they're just going to hop on the bus and head south or head back to where they came from. So it's extremely important. Yes.
Yep.
And here's what's really important about the border stuff is what that all means right now is we're going to start deporting people. And I think for most people, they're like, yeah, we need to deport all the 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 murderers and the rapists and all the criminal illegal aliens. That's great. But I think what we're getting ready to see here is every illegal alien getting deported. And for some people, it's like, well, what about the really nice family? And they're not breaking the law, really. They came here illegally, but they have jobs and they're working. Are we really going to deport all those people? And I think if you're really being honest about trying to fix this, the answer is yes. Everybody gets deported. They can start over. They can try to come in the right way. Just like we're out here in Vegas, and every Uber driver, every Lyft driver we get is from another country, Russia, Czechoslovakia, who knows what. And they all talk about how it took them years to get here. And so they had to wait 7 years to get a visa. They had to go through this long process. And they're all pissed off that millions of people just come across the border and get everything. And so on one hand, you're like, well, we don't want to be the mean people. But like I've said a million times, it doesn't always pay to be the nice guy when people are trying to take advantage of you. So, yeah, I think we need a clean slate and start the whole thing over and make sure we've got control of everything and build, some type of immigration process back after that.
Yep. Agreed. Jeff MD, quick talk on.
Yeah, I mean, what I was really happy to see is when he put military on the border. It's only 1,500 right now, and they've said, oh, they're going to be doing backup and support stuff, but that can change tomorrow, and I think it should change. We've got to clean up this mess, and you deport the people, and I think one way you can get self-deportations up is you tell them flat out, you go, if we deport you, you can never come back. You can never apply. You can never get a visa. You can never get a green card. However, if you self-deport, we will allow you to apply to the process legally to immigrate into the country. You may get approved. You may not, because if you have a criminal record, for example, you won't. But that's the only way you can save your chance to be here permanently, legally, is if you self-deport and start over.
And do it the right way. We were just talking last night about when people used to come over here, it used to be you had to take a test and learn the history of the United States and learn English, do all these things. For crying out loud, why cannot we just do that some more? Do that again. Yep. That's where that needs to go.
Yeah. It's so bad that almost every business is now hiring Spanish translators for the people they're bringing into their bed. My own the place I work, we have 2 Spanish translators. It's a Japanese company. We've always had Japanese translators because of the executives and all of the people that come over to support the manufacturing. But in the last 3 years, we've added 2. We added 1 and then a second one because of the influx of people that can't speak English that are working on the lines that are, Mexican or South American of some kind. That's a real thing. It's a real thing.
I love the self-deport idea. Like, that's good, man. Like, you got a chance to take care of this.
Well, to hit on what John was just talking about, it may be Fairfax, Virginia. I can't remember for sure, but there was a city or jurisdiction somewhere back east that has a huge budget deficit because they've spent $148 million on translators because of all the illegals in their school system. And now they have to decide whether to cut. They've hired consultants to find out if they should cut fire, police, or Parks and Rec to make up.
Sorry, Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Don't hire the damn
guys.
Yeah. Holy crap. Like cutting a fire department with what's going on in California. Yeah, that's a smart move.
Well, in that vein, the California legislature today voted against spending $1 billion or setting aside $1 billion for fire prevention.
Wow. Let's just
burn, baby, burn.
So
burn.
So quick snap question. Anybody can answer. How long will it take before California is losing 2 or 3% of its population every year of people that are like, I've had it with this crap?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Isn't that
They're
happening now?
already doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, that state may end up just shedding 25% of its population. It's just crazy.
And how do you know that they're Californians that have moved into your neighborhood?
Right.
They'll tell you.
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
They're like crust.
They'll set their backyards on fire.
Vegans
Marines.
or Marines.
West Coast SEALs.
West
Yeah,
Coast SEALs.
right.
Oh, anyways. Yes, but that was it. Chris just put it up on the screen. That was them voting against, and $1 billion is probably a drop in the bucket statewide, in all honesty, for fire prevention.
Well, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's a drop in the bucket, but it doesn't matter. California is living almost exclusively on federal funding.
Oh, not to hear Gavin Newsom say it.
Well, that state's been bankrupt for decades.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. So let's real quick go through a couple more. This was I'm sure everybody saw the video of the Skeletor woke female Episcopal preacher that got up and gave Trump a diatribe. I think we were all JD Vance in that scene. Just the look on his face, like, really? Like, we're doing this? Okay.
JD, put your hands in your pockets and push her.
In true woke white woman preacher fashion, because if you've ever met a white woman preacher, they almost all exactly like this. You just have
not you.
Well, she's not a preacher, so.
Thank God.
But I will not apologize for asking for mercy for others. That wasn't asking for mercy for others. That was a woke liberal diatribe of garbage that she pushed out, because these people don't live in the real world. They don't understand. And their woke agenda is more important than anything else. Anybody want to comment on that? I'm not going to go around the group for that, because we got to move forward.
What about the Laken Rileys and people like that in the world that have died at the hands of these people? The number of crimes that are committed as a result of these people. Why don't you feel sorry for the people that are getting sympathy for the people that are actually the victims of these crimes? Then we should start. Then we could have a conversation. But nope, we're just gonna go the straight woke diatribe, and that doesn't work. And I think people see through that quite clearly.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff's right.
100%.
Jeff, he's hitting on. And you had it right too. She's not a preacher. I mean, she's a preacher or a reverend or a bishop by what standard?
Yeah.
Right. What is the basis for her position? And further, even if she was a Christian, she would need to repent for using the pulpit to advance some sort of political agenda.
Exactly.
The pulpit is for edifying the saints, for encouraging the saints. It's to preach Christ. And she, if she's a bishop or any kind of reverend, it's by the standard of a cult, because that's not anybody who knows what the Word of God says and studies it, knows that this is nonsense. And then you also got to look at the secular movement that's advancing her message, that's trying to shame Christians and trying to shame. It's all over social media. All these woke people trying to use a Christian message, which is not a Christian message at all, to try and manipulate people who don't know the Word of God. And if you know the Word of God, you know that what she did was complete nonsense. And Jeff had it right. Where's the mercy for the people that this is affecting? Right? She's asking for sympathy for the devil, and she's not getting it from here. So
yeah, 100%.
That's one of the things that a lot of people just can't wrap their heads around. You are the villain in somebody's story. Accept it. Be cool with it.
Yeah. So moving on, Mike Lee, America First bans illegal immigrants' welfare and other benefits. Another huge move that's going to take the burden off the American people and the American taxpayers specifically on them funding this invasion on our southern border. So
there's going to be a lot of hotels going out of business now because
tell you what,
places that have been.
I think every illegal alien should have to pay for their own bus ticket back to where they're going.
Self-deportation.
So that sounded very Russian to me. You know, we shoot you, then we send bill for bullet to family.
Works for me. Works for me.
If you walked from Costa Rica to America to get here, You can walk from Ohio to Mexico to go home.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yep. Yep. And next, State Department DEI group cancels all future planned events. It's almost like they know what's coming, guys. Pretty crazy.
They're hiding. They're hiding.
Yep. And
Well, that was the word of the day yesterday. They know.
We'll get some reactions to this next.
Actually, the word of the day today, from Mexican word of the day today, was bishop. Wish this bishop would shut up.
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Today's word of the day is climate. I'm going to build a wall so high they won't be able to climb.
That's funny. So this is a big story. Trump has moved to and revoked Mike Pompeo's security protection.
That was beautiful how
this
was
move
done.
Yeah, this move comes less than 24 hours after Trump reveals Pompeo blocked the release of the JFK files during his first administration. Pompeo has been accused of playing a key role in plotting the assassination of Julian Assange. He is a traitor and should never be granted security protection again. So I'll give you guys a chance to actually, and I think this is a video of him dancing with, or something going on with a foreign. Just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
I don't think he'll be taking any trips to Iran anytime soon.
Yeah.
That's in Israel.
Yeah. So, anyways, federal agents conducting raids to detain individuals in apartments across Boston designated a sanctuary city. So, and this is a key point, Chris. I think I'll go to you on this, is that declaring this a very serious an emergency and making it the duty of the federal government bypasses all of this state, our own state of Illinois. Me and Dave live in Illinois, and our big fat tub of a governor, basically, he was like, oh, they passed laws through our completely crooked legislation to allow illegals to change their names to try and hide from ICE and CBP and several other things. He said that we're going to be a sanctuary state, sanctuary city in Chicago, all of this stuff. But this circumvents this, I believe.
Well, actually, the interesting thing in Massachusetts is that the governor has gone on record to say, we were never a sanctuary state. We're not going to do anything sanctuary related at all. You must have us confused with another state.
These are not the George you're looking for.
It's that other Boston.
It's that other Massachusetts, right?
Yeah. Now, this is Boston. You're thinking about Boston.
Yeah.
No, the other thing, though, that Trump's done this week on that front is that he has given other departments, like even the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ability and the right to deport people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's spread it out across a whole bunch of federal police and agencies.
Maybe they'll deport a bunch of their own people.
Yeah.
Oh darn.
Oh darn.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. So, this next article, and I'll let everybody, if you guys want to speak to some of this, we're trying to move through these as fast as possible because we are somewhat limited on time. 1,500 military troops President Trump deployed to the border have arrived, and senior administration officials say this is just the start. The soldiers are reinforcing the walls and building outposts to help keep and monitor illegals from illegal entries. We will finally be using our military to guard our own border instead of foreign countries thousands of miles away. So I'm going to start just moving this one by one. We'll go through these articles one by one. So I'm going to let this first one. We'll go to Jeff MD. You and Jeff Capps are down there on the border, or close to the border. I'll let you speak to this.
Great freaking news. It should have been done decades ago. Every other country on the planet that has a border keeps their military on their border to make sure they actually have a border. You go to the border between Greece and Turkey, there are soldiers on both sides, even though they're both members of NATO. So, yeah, that we should have been doing this all along.
Yeah, 100%. Jeff Capps, you're down there as well. I'll let you speak to it real quick too.
Yes, sir. So I'd like to throw in, I read an article today in direct relation to SITREP, and the article is The Consequences of Illegal Immigration for Housing Affordability, Government Budget, American Workers, and this was by the Research Center for Immigration Studies. And so they had a number of reasons why the anchor, the literal 10,000-pound anchor that this puts on the American people, just by schools failing, emergency rooms and hospitals failing, and we could go on with that list. But what it brought to my question is that in light of the fact that we still have the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878, I believe it was, what can the soldiers really do? And I thought it was funny because what I found something that Trump supposedly said, that anybody throwing stones, rocks, like they did in Mexico, where they badly hurt police and soldiers of Mexico, we will consider that a firearm, because there's not much difference when you get hit in the face with a rock. They want to throw rocks at our military fights back. We're going to consider it. I told them, consider it a rifle. And that was supposedly Trump said that on Friday. So I think that's kind of funny, because I remember when Bush was in the White House, and they sent troops down to the border, and they basically got flanked by a bunch of black shirt wearing Mexican, whatever they are. And they couldn't really do anything. So I hope that our guys down there, not just monitoring, not just setting up stations, but if they are in any way, shape, fashion, or form, that they are able to react with at least equal force, and to quell that and put that down and let the message get out. That bullshit ain't gonna be happening.
Yeah.
John, let me make a small comment on this. I want to refer this to Jeff Capps. Jeff, the commander of that unit down there said, if the cartels shoot at us, we will shoot back.
Excellent. Good. That's what I want to hear.
Well,
I love that.
And I'll also bring Ben, as a law enforcement officer, almost 30 years of experience. How often do criminals repeat the crime if there's no consequences?
Oh, it's just 100x. We saw it. Everybody probably saw this during COVID as well. COVID came along, the county jail would keep anybody. So we're almost, regardless of what people got arrested for, stealing a car, beating up their wife, whatever, they all got arrested, given a ticket, and released. And when we saw that pattern develop, all of a sudden, it wasn't just stealing one car. It was like we'd process those people 10 times a day because they stole 10 cars in 2 days because they knew there was no consequences. And you see it all over society when there's no consequences or repercussions, as Eddie Murphy said in a wonderful movie, Life. Then there's going to be continued, repeated crime over and over and over again. Not just crime, just bad behavior in general. You see it in schools. You see it when the little old lady school teacher in fifth grade is getting berated and spit at and hit by some fifth grade student. Well, you can't touch the student. You can't get them in trouble, and no consequences means repeated behavior over and over again. It doesn't matter where it's at, on the border, somewhere else. Absolutely is just going to encourage that to increase.
Yep, 100%. So moving on. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that if you are in a situation with another nation, another armed force, that if they indeed believe that whatever they do to you, that you will give it back to them 100-fold, they will be very, very reluctant to perform the first action that starts it in the place. So what you were talking about with police officers and whatnot, I totally believe that. If there's no consequences, there's no repercussions, then what reason would they have not to? But yet, if you apply that principle, force will be dealt with by force, or threat will be dealt with by force, then they have to, but then you have to back it up. And
how many people are jumping the wall in North Korea? I mean, not very many people.
Yeah, the minefield's kind of.
What do you think is going to happen if you start running for South Korea?
If they cut you in half with a machine gun,
probably not going to work out.
So that whole consequences thing, it's there.
Same thing in East Germany. It was the same thing in East Germany. You just died.
Right.
Yeah. So real quick, we're going to watch this absolute garbage individual. Explain why we were misrepresented. All of the intelligence agents that said the Hunter Biden laptop has all the markers of Russian disinformation. So let's hear what this, spawn of
Liar.
The only reason why I still had a security clearance, as I have for the past number of years since I left government service, was for the benefit of the government, so that if the CIA or another government agency wanted to call me in to discuss a classified matter, they could do that. And so it was really for the government's benefit. It was facilitate those classified discussions with myself, as well as with former directors, as well as other former members of the intelligence community that had those clearances. So again, yesterday's EO was bizarre, among many of the bizarre executive orders that he had signed out. And as you point out, he misrepresented the facts in that executive order, because it said that we had suggested that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. No, we said it was for the hallmarks of Russian information operations, including the dumping of accurate information, which is what we said in that letter. So again, this was just, his effort to try to get back at those individuals who have criticized him openly and publicly in the past, and I think very legitimately.
You guys smell that?
So
I smell bullshit.
Yeah.
So let's just be really, really clear on something. And this is from Patrick Byrne, but also other high-level people on the intelligence front. Brennan is the bridge between the WEF, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and Obama. Obama is not the one who answers to those people. Brennan is the ringleader, for lack of a better term. He is so full of shit. The problem is he's wicked intelligent and incredibly well-spoken, and a very effective liar, much like Obama, because of that. And for him to get up there and say this is for the benefit of the government, he's been the one who's primarily been running the government. He's the one who's been taking the orders from the NWO, the globalists, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, giving them to Obama. Obama, in turn, has given them to Susan Rice. She, on her way to work, goes out of her way to go to Obama's house, pick it up. We have intel of audio conversations that happened in the front of that home of Obama giving her instructions. That's right from General Vallely. And we've got a mountain of evidence showing that that's what happened. For him to get up there and say, oh, I'm just here to help the government. What a fucking liar.
Yeah.
That guy's the devil incarnate.
And you also have to think, Chris, is this was at a key point. If this information had not been suppressed, it was suppressed on X or Twitter at the time, before Elon took over, before he bought it and actually turned it into a much better free speech platform, we'll say. Before that, if this comes out, the election's probably too big to rig in 2020. If it comes out, because there was I think it was like 17% of polled voters said it would have changed their vote if they knew this information. It was an active suppression by big tech, government agents, and all of these intelligence people. And yes, every one of them deserves to have their security clearance wiped out. They should never work in any kind of security, in any kind of intelligence organization for the rest of their natural born lives. And this is also setting a precedent for going forward, is you can't get involved in this propaganda and not actually suffer consequences.
So the problem is that these agencies have become so politicized. There's a gazillion moles in there feeding information back to Brennan and these other clowns. This is not a one and done. This will be a process, not an event.
Yeah, it's like slowly cutting out the cancer. And here's another big one.
Chemo.
Right. It's political chemotherapy. Trump's DOJ orders federal prosecutors to investigate state and local officials who block immigration enforcement. Well, J.B. Pritzker, that's our governor. This might be get interesting. Dave, what do you got to say about that?
I would very much welcome any type of investigation into JB. That guy is trying to ruin the state of Illinois.
Yep.
Obviously, all of us wish they could just put out Chicago and make it part of Canada, and then we could just live the rest of our lives how we should be in America. But that's awesome. That's absolute. All this stuff is absolutely what we need to happen. And people talk like, well, I don't know if we can really start doing all these things, or if we can really go after state officials. It's like, let's do it. And somebody said it earlier. Even if Trump does 1% of all the stuff he's talking about, we're going to be way, way ahead. So whether this sticks or not, I don't know. But hey, throw it out there. I'm ready. I'm ready for these people to get after it.
Yeah.
Fixing these things is never happy or comfortable or easy. And that's the problem is so many people have lived a life of ease their entire lives. They don't understand, oh, well, I don't want to have to sacrifice anything. That's going to be terrible. We'll have to sacrifice. Yeah. Actually sacrifice something for your children and your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. Deal with it.
Well, people want to eat the steak. They don't want to have to kill and gut the cow.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jeff, real quick, I'd like to get your input. I'm sorry I didn't go to you on that last one on the intelligence agents because you used to work for the CIA.
Oh, I worked for him. Yeah, he was.
You know how this goes, and so like maybe some inside baseball on how big of an issue this is.
Well, he was always political. In fact, he got promoted. He became director because he was political. He was tight with Hillary Clinton first, and then when she became Secretary of State, she kind of pushed him. He's always been a hack. Everybody knows he's a hack, but he does have his little cadre of minions, and they need to be rooted out and fired. To be quite honest, they'll tell him stuff they shouldn't be telling him. He can probably pick up the phone and find out stuff he shouldn't be finding out, especially now that he doesn't have a clearance. But because he doesn't have a clearance, he does this, oh yeah, they need to consult with me. That's bullshit. He doesn't have any insight to anything anymore. He's using it. He probably has contracts with, Booz Allen Hamilton and all these other consulting companies, and he has to have a clearance to work on classified government contracts. So yanking his clearance is going to hurt him, is going to hit him in the pocketbook. And yeah, he'll still do the TV appearances, but he's kind of becoming a pariah. And with CNN realizing they're gone down the tubes, and the Washington Post and the LA Times, he may not be getting as much work as he used to. I hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
But there are still going to be some useful idiots out there that would like to prosper or attempt to prosper from someone like that, and he's getting information, and so that circle continues. I think there's a thing in health and fitness called autophagia, and it basically means the substrates can actually pull out the poisons from a cell. That's an oversimplification, but we need some political autophagia. We get some of these people. Political autophagia should be a new buzzword we try to use.
Well, and you need to catch somebody talking out of school to him, and then fire them very publicly, and make sure they lose their pension and everything else, and people will stop talking to him.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, you grab them, you flip them, you find out of 10 more people that are talking to them. You fire all of them publicly
and say why you fired them.
Yeah.
Make examples. That's like military basic training 101. That first day you make examples. Guess what? Everybody else starts falling in line after that.
Weird.
So consequences and repercussions, if you would. So this next one is talking about how now the government has given federal law enforcement the abilities to get rid of these illegals. So even the ATF, some other agencies are allowed to use their investigative and their, enforcement arms to go after these illegals. As Mike starts to laugh there,
you get deported by a park ranger.
I'm Smokey Bear. I'm ready to deport you. And if a bear showed up to deport me, I'd probably get freaked out. Yeah. So
cocaine bear.
Cocaine bear. Ooh.
Yeah, you don't want that one. Yeah.
No. This is a great clip. And Scott Jennings is just a flamethrower on CNN. I don't know how they still let this guy on CNN. So,
of Elon Musk on the Trump orbit has been really good, and his impact on the country is really good. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. I know these kinds of announcements are important to presidents. These kinds of investments are important to new administrations. But I would listen to Elon. I mean, he's obviously got some information and some opinions about this, and I don't know how much of this is going to be aired in front of and behind the scenes. But
Elon Musk keeps on overshadowing Donald Trump. I mean, you had in the inauguration, then it was the hand gesture, quote unquote, that is the subject of great mystery and debate. Yeah, the subject of great mystery and
Are you
debate.
talking about, you're not one of these salute truthers, are you?
No, we're not. What I'm saying is it engendered a great
impact of Elon Musk on the Trump orbit has been really good, and his impact on the country is really good. So I don't know how this is going to turn out. I know these kinds of announcements are important to presidents. These kinds of investments are important to new administrations. But, you know, I would listen to Elon. I mean, he's obviously got some information and some opinions about this. And I don't know how much of this is going to be aired in front of and behind the scenes. But
Elon Musk keeps on overshadowing.
Okay, sorry, I played that twice. So for those of you that are wondering what we're talking about, the salute truther, which what a freaking great term. This is the whole, you know, Elon holding his heart and then waving, holding his heart. By the way, you can find dozens of Democrats, including Tim Walz and Kamala Harris on the campaign trail, doing the same exact freaking thing. It's frustrating because it's like we're trying to find the Nazis in every other thing that goes on, and we're trying to grasp it's the last death throes of a dying medium in the mainstream legacy media. They realize that they're dying and they're trying to hold on to the life that they had, but they're just going back to the same stuff that killed them. It's like somebody who's a chain smoker who has lung cancer still smoking, you know. It's like it's insane to me.
Let's say they don't realize it. They don't realize things are bad. I guess nobody brings them the Nielsen ratings every morning, or they just deny that they're real. But I don't think they believe it. I think they just think that they're right, and they're going to keep telling us how things work. And just they've already forgotten that there was an election, a landslide election, and they're just that's who they are. There's no sense of self-awareness about what's going on and what results of their actions,
because they live in an echo.
Are you a Nazi denier?
They all live in an echo.
Those guys are all still getting checks, guys. They're getting paid. They're still getting paid, and they're holding on to that to the last check.
Yeah, and that's the comment that I'll make, because, you know, and I know Craig went through this during COVID, dealing with all of the censorship and all of that crap. But it was the legacy media that did all of this stuff to itself, and they have lied and cheated and just out and out destroyed their own credibility with everything that they're doing. And it's no wonder that they're going down. And the last thing that's holding them together is the big pharma money. It's 100% the last thing.
That's going to come down too with this Project Stargate. Watch.
Yeah. So, Craig, I'll let you speak to this. I'm sorry I didn't bring you in earlier, but you go ahead and speak to, you know, this whole thing of the legacy media dying a terrible death. And I really think that they started committing suicide during COVID because of all the lies they told.
Yeah, they've been fomenting division on the lines of it's infiltrated, and DEI was a tool, right, that allowed them to break into merit-based systems that we trusted and insert the nonsense that would demoralize everyone, because that's what the intent of DEI was. It was a demoralization attempt to demoralize everyone, and they are grasping onto every single thing that they can. Waves are now Nazi salutes, and you know, that woke bishop was not an accident. She was put up there on purpose. They know exactly what they're doing on how to create distraction, to try and steal the narrative back. And they know that they're in their death throes. This is their last gasping breath. We rejected wokeism. It's no longer anything we're going to put up with. And these things that they're doing, we just need to really just kind of ignore them, and move on to advancing why we voted for Trump, and advancing the things that have torn our nation down instead of chasing all these people and saying no, they know they're wrong. They know they're lying. They're evil. The damage
The
that they
beatings will continue until morale improves.
right. We let them burn themselves out, and we need to keep pushing forward and advancing what's made this country great, and leave them alone.
Yep, 100%. This next one, I did put it up while you were talking. There are now thousands of unemployed DEI experts. They have useless degrees, minimal skills, wildly unrealistic salary expectation, and delusionally high opinions of themselves. These people are unemployable. They're toxic, bad energy team killers, and walking lawsuits. And the NGOs and academia are getting dismantled next. So they can't even find a home there. A couple of them can join KJP and Jennifer Rubin's new media empire, running it back with the Kamala 2028 using the same playbook, or grift off wherever with whatever retarded endeavor Steve Jobs widow, or Reid Hoffman funds next. So I think this is really, and another one is content moderation, because I know Elon, a lot of that stuff. Plus, in a lot of ways, AI is going to replace a lot of that kind of stuff anyways. So couldn't have happened to a better group of people, in my opinion. Go ahead, Mike.
Obama showed us the way. Those people, since they're unemployed now, they should learn to code.
Exactly.
Or they can replace those those people that are moving back to south of the border, because those are the people, according to this bishop, those are people that pick our food. They pick our cotton. Oh wait, no, that was a different century.
Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah.
Do our dishes.
They could go to a trade school, learn how to roof, learn how to lay concrete. Maybe if they went to pipe fitters side, they could go up and they could help lay the Keystone Pipeline.
I couldn't think of a better job for them. Go ahead, Jeff MD.
No, it's the FBA, not the FBI, but the FBA, the Future Baristas of America.
Starbucks
AOC can head it up. AOC can head it up.
Yes, right. She's got the experience. She can do it.
You have to wear one of those little knit hats, though, if you go in there.
Yes.
You have to, in the summertime.
Oh goodness, that's funny.
This is
One of
Wendy,
the-
sir.
One of the things that Jordan Peterson talks about a lot is the rotting of the universities from the inside out, and the postmodern agenda, and how things like the humanities and all the social aspects of that, and how they don't believe in grand narratives, but yet you turn around and you find that there is a grand narrative regardless. And so I think when you start taking these people that have got these useless degrees from colleges who are pushed by, I hate to say it, no, I don't really hate Marxist professors who are basically just part of that fifth column. What do you expect? And now we have it manifests itself in government institutions. Well, this has been brewing for however long it's been brewing. And we're seeing the fruits of it. And hopefully now we say, like what was Trump said, adios.
Yep. Guys, check out this video real quick, and we'll get some responses.
Okay, so Donald Trump has issued executive orders aimed at destroying DEI within federal agencies. And these orders say that all federal employees that are in DEI roles be placed on administrative leave by January 22nd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And now the ATF is under fire because it seems they did this. Look at the part that's circled and highlighted. Look at her title. It says Chief Diversity Officer. Now look 2 days later and it says Senior Executive. I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty sneaky. Also just interesting. Very interesting. And it makes you wonder how many individuals are currently trying to do this or have done this since he's issued these executive orders. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, they got.
So that's another thing of just trying to hide the reality of what was going on. The reality is you can if you have been following this stuff, you can see these changes. And so really quick, S2, I'll let you speak to that and some of the other stuff that's going on in these agencies to try and cover their tracks, because these people are making a lot of money in these positions, and they were banking on having a job that was secure in these positions and furthering this narrative and just garbage policy.
Well, they're like the Homer Simpson of the government. They're slowly backing into the bush, and you think you're never going to see them again, but they're going to be sitting in that bush until the next time they see an opportunity, and then it's going to be there again, unless, as Jeff has said many times, they are made examples of. They are never allowed to come back and work for the federal government again. They are never allowed to hold a security clearance. They lose their pensions or whatever benefits they have upon exit, and they are done. Go find a job somewhere. That, better yet, just go get another education because somebody led you down the wrong path.
Learn to code.
Yeah. But, well, now wait a minute, Mike. They can't do that because then they have to move to India.
Yeah.
Well,
sucks to be down.
Math is racist, so you know.
You're right.
Oh yeah, and what Dave said earlier to just talking about people. There's just a sense of freedom. We just want to see. We want to see more of this stuff. I mean, as a gun enthusiast, gun owner, and somebody that lives in a blue state that's completely anti-gun, I want to see the Supreme Court. I want to see some of these other things be ruled on, because we got to take this momentum and we've got to push it at every area of the government, every area of the bureaucracy. It's got to go fast and it's got to go hard. So it's not something that they can have time to prepare for or change the name of an executive or title or whatever. So, and
that's exactly what they do. The getting rid of executives in the government system is incredibly difficult because they just change the title of what it is that they do. The underlings, yeah, we can get rid of them, but it may take several years to get rid of the executives.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this one to Dave because it's a crime. It also deals with border. But we'll play this video real quick. This is about a
terrifying ordeal for a caseworker who helps refugees from Afghanistan get resettled into Michigan. Investigators in Oakland County say he was attacked in his own home in Orion Township Wednesday.
Well, it's terrible. I mean, obviously the person is trying to do their job, which is to help that person assimilate, and for a reason, this is the reaction he got.
Sheriff Mike Bouchard says a refugee helped by the caseworker somehow tracked down the caseworker's home address on Red Root Road, showed up, and stabbed them repeatedly, putting the victim in the hospital in critical condition.
We don't know specifically what his complaint was or his motive was because the individual that was attacked is in surgery as we speak. He was stabbed multiple times.
A terrifying.
So, Dave, what's your initial reaction of?
They shut his debit card off.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably exactly what happened. They found, and the weird word they use there is they were trying to help this guy assimilate. Like, what is, like, I would be very curious to hear what that means in this situation. Like, what, like, assimilate, like, here's your free money, here's your insurance, but, you can keep saying screw America and all this.
No good deed goes unpunished,
there's no
man.
Assimilation going on in the context of what we think it should be. And this just goes back to, you never know. Now, some homeless person could have tracked this lady down and stabbed her, just as well as anybody else. But this goes back to, let's just start this thing over. We're not just going to let anybody in, especially we're not going to let in all the people hanging off of, C-17s flying out of Afghanistan or whatever, and assimilate and bring all those people here for no reason whatsoever. We can't afford to just let everybody in regardless. And you think it's just one person. It's just kind of a one-off type of deal. It's like, as they say, one is too many. If we can save one life,
gosh, you can hate us. You can hate us for free elsewhere.
100%. I mean, and let's just be honest. Like we've talked about the invasion. Afghanistan's a Muslim country. It is a country that does not have the same basis and principles that the American, the founding was about. So it's those our culture and their culture do not mix well. Historically, there's no place where it's mixed well. One tries to dominate the other, and if the other is not prepared for it, then you end up with England. You end up with France, where they're at right now. And you're seeing this influx because they will come in, they will outbreed you, and they will overtake you over generations. That's what's going on. And I hate for that to sound cruel and harsh, but it's the truth. History, we said the other day, the indication of the future is history. So when you look at history, that is the history of that. And so that would be the last that I would want to let into the country. And, call me whatever name you want to call me online. It's the truth because I've read history and I know where this leads. So does anybody else want to throw in something in the comment? And I'll bring up the next slide.
Are you saying a basket of Afghans aren't any fun?
Right.
Tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I think the word is hijra. Hijra means to migrate. And that's part of, I believe that was mentioned in the Hadith. Yep. And they talk about migrating from country. And this was a specific purpose to go out and to breed and to bring in Sharia, to bring in whatever it is, their values, their premium, they don't have much value for life. I think it's one of the things that, if you remember Apocalypse Now, they talked about the problem was the Vietnamese did not have any value on life. There was no value on life. It meant nothing. And I think you see that a lot in the Middle East. Anyway, that's just my opinion. I couldn't.
No, you're absolutely right. In actuality, Christianity is really the only religion in the history of the world that has a value on human life, that actually puts a premium on the value of human life. Most others, it's used as it's a chess game to enact their ideology, and that's why they do that. So 100%. This next one, let me get back to Sharon here. Not Sharon, sharing. So Sharon. I've said a lot of words today. So this is a January 6th father talking about some of the stuff that's going on with these J6ers that were treated like absolute dogs while they were in captivity as political prisoners.
Families have lost everything. Their husbands, the fathers, the breadwinners have been taken from them and put in prison unlawfully for many years for the simplest of infractions.
You said this wasn't the first prison that your son was at. Can you talk to us about what they charged him with and why he was at another prison before coming here?
Sure. What they do is it's called diesel therapy, so you can't settle. So what they'll do is when they first picked my son up on January 16, 2021, they scooped him up and then they started taking him from prison to prison. Spent 202 days down in the bowels of the DC prison. The conditions there are so egregious. He was actually sifting water through a sock because there was so much rust in the bottom of that prison that you can't drink the water. And so, they would lay him on a cot. They had lights. This was like Vietnam, where they had lights on all the time. You had 2 blankets. They call them suicide blankets, and you just laid him on a basically a block, and you didn't even have a mattress. So, and then what they do as soon as you start to get communications with your attorneys and your family, they scoop you up and they take you to another prison. And then so you'll be there for 2 weeks. You're usually a week to 2 weeks. You're in solitary, where they transition you into the new prison. And then you're there for, maybe 3 to 5 months. They ship you out again. And there was a time that on 2 Christmases ago, we didn't know where he was for I want to say almost 3 weeks. How is that possible? How come you can't, call his family? Nobody knows where he's at. When you can't talk to your attorneys,
I'll pause it right there. It's about a 3-minute video, but just hearing that, and there's a lot more of this stuff that happened. Julie Kelly actually did exposure of this through the last 4 years. I don't like everything that Julie Kelly is about, but she has done some yeoman's work on this stuff, exposing how poorly these prisoners were treated and just put in jails that were not fit for human occupancy, and and moved around and not able to talk to their families, not able to. I mean, there were times where congressmen and senators were trying to get in to talk to these people that are officials in the government, and they were blocked from getting in. Matt Gaetz famously talked about this, and it's just like, this is not what America is about. Yeah, you do a crime, you should pay the penalty for a crime, but this was not about criminal activity. This was about a political message, in my opinion. I'm going to open it up. Whoever wants to speak to this, and we'll move to the next thing because we're running short on time.
How many of them were actually charged with a crime? Wasn't that a thing? They weren't even charged with anything.
Not a single one was charged with insurrection. Everything that they were charged, because with the charge of insurrection, correct me if I'm wrong, there are certain things that you have to prove in the charge, and they knew that it wouldn't stand up in court. So every single one of these guys were given some sort of lesser charge that was an insurrection, although the media narrative was that it was an insurrection. And yes, like, some people were violent, all of that kind of stuff. That's fine. The vast majority of these 1,500 people, 99% of them, were not violent people. They were not engaging in any kind of physical skirmish. Most of them were literally walking into the Capitol after the police opened up and escorted them in.
And stayed between the building.
We're on a guided tour.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Real quick, I'll give you my take on so, obviously there were a handful of
froze up.
He's on mute.
I had
you shouldn't be on mute.
Just got me now.
So anyway, I can remember the longest sentence that anybody that I ever got into a fight with was 4 years. There was a guy that I was in a fight with arresting and punched me in the face. He got convicted, got 4 years, and he only had to serve half of that because in Illinois you get day for day for time served. So a 2-year prison sentence was the longest that anybody that I in my career or assaulting a police officer. And a lot of people are upset, like, how could you pardon somebody that assaulted the police? And it's like, well, did they chop the head off a cop or did they punch him in the nose? All this is relative and the context matters. And so, we all know it's all political and it's like, these people were political prisoners. But if you're ever wondering, should I feel like these people should be in prison for assaulting the police? Well, you just got to realize what's the norm? What's the normal sentence or punishment for people in America that fight with cops?
How many of BLM and Antifa were arrested for hitting cops?
That's kind of what the reasonable sentence would be. And these people have done double that already.
And some still were waiting to get into court after 4 years. That's the crazy thing. A lot of them haven't even been charged yet. They've just been held.
It was like Guantanamo Bay or something.
Yeah. I mean, just
Gitmo's nice compared to what
A lot of them were actually asking to go to Gitmo.
Yeah. Gitmo's nice compared to this place.
Well,
I mean, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say there needs to be an investigation. They need to go in and look at all the emails, all the correspondence of these Bureau of Prisons people. And if they moved these people for the only purpose was to make it more difficult for them to defend themselves, to keep them out of touch with their lawyers and away from their families, if there was no compelling reason why they were moved, then those people need to be identified and fired.
Yeah.
Because you're interfering with somebody's right to self-defense. That's a violation of the Constitution.
I would take it one step farther than that. I'm thinking fired is not enough.
All right, we'll charge.
Prosecution.
Human rights violations. Constitutional right violations.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's like even like I've said with the Biden pardons, with all that stuff, which I don't think is going to hold up long term in courts. But even if it did, the investigation still needs to be done. The evidence needs to be presented to everyone. We need to stuff this in people's faces the same way that they stuffed their ideology in our face for 4 years and tried to tell us that the rain that was on our face wasn't actually pee. And I mean, that's the reality of what we've gone through. And this evidence and every report needs to be exposed to every person in the country. because we need this. Never can happen again. You know, we say never again about stuff like the Holocaust. This kind of stuff, we have to have transparency. We have to have, you know, a standard by which we live, and a standard for everything that goes on in this country from the people that have been put in control. So by us.
And look at how many I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out now. I know it's going to be a year or two before we get to there, but I wonder how many of these Bureau of Prisons people are going to throw out but I was only following orders. How many of them are going to say that? Yeah. And I'm going to bet that it's going to be a bunch.
I think that this video we just watched is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to hear a lot more of this coming down the pike in the next one.
I'm real curious. I want to start hearing interviews from these people that just got released. That's going to be bombshell stuff.
I forget the girl's name. I followed her the other night. One of the January 6th prisoners, young girl, probably in her mid-20s, I would say. She started a social media account on X and is posting constantly. I'll see if I can find that. And I'll try and put it out to the insiders. Who?
Megan?
I couldn't hear you. You were breaking up, bud.
Was that Megan?
Megan Kelly?
It may have been. I'd have to look. I just followed her. But it's a young girl that she posted it's my first McDonald's in 4 years, but she's also posting a lot of the details on what happened to her while she was in confinement. So real quick, just further following up, and we're almost done getting ready to be done with the first chapter and move on to some fun stuff. Looks like the Border Patrol is hiding DEI under special emphasis programs. So you can see this is just more evidence of them putting this stuff under, trying to hide it in plain sight. Yeah. So, and this last final tab, this is, I believe this is one of the prisoners, correct, Chris?
Waiting for it to come up.
With the guy that's got all the busted up face and everything.
Yeah, that was one.
So you want to go ahead and address this?
No, I don't have a whole lot to say because I haven't gotten complete confirmation of it, but it sounds like there were somewhere around 24 J6ers, all of whom are white, that have had the shit kicked out of them for the past 3 or 4 years by a bunch of guards who are all black. And there's one particular black guard who has been named, who apparently they're saying there's evidence of him doing this to the inmates. It's not verified though. So I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's not verified yet. So it's not something that we can really attest to. And I got breaking news on one more thing here, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want. The chances of this happening are probably slim to none. But check this out. Breaking: a constitutional amendment has been filed allowing President Trump to seek a third term in office. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected to 2 consecutive terms, and no person who has held shall be elected to the office of president more than twice. The chances that amendment passing are slim to none.
We have that rule for a reason.
Wouldn't that be glorious?
Somebody was being trolled.
That's the Babylon Bee, is what it sounds like.
Well, Andy Biggs from Tennessee. He's like that.
Yeah.
He's a professional. Hats off to him.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead. We good to go ahead and move to memes?
We got to wrap up.
Okay. Well, so yeah. Yeah. So we've but this has been
a massive amount of memes.
Yes, massive amount of memes.
It may just be meme Friday.
Yeah,
nothing else.
So
Friday.
So real quick, we got just a couple minutes. So with all of that, I'm going to go around. Please make it short. Like 10, 15 seconds. What you would like to see and how excited you are that it seems like the adults are back in charge. So we'll start with Jeff Capps, and we'll go around the panel.
I'm happy if he follows through, and even if the results don't get to be quite like we would want to be, like 100%, right. I'm still okay with making progress because momentum is what we need, and we need momentum to continue to feel like they are also involved in this, and we can move forward as men, as
Yep.
leaders.
100%. S2, real quick, what's your answer there?
I'd like to see all of the promises made be kept.
Yep. Jeff MD?
I would like to see the elimination of entire branches, not branches of government, but Department of Education, entire bureaucracies just ripped out by the roots and thrown away. Not reassigned, not shifted around, just eliminated.
Yep, 100%. Craig, I'll turn it to you, brother.
I'd like accountability. We've had an attempt at sovereignty and a massive subversion of our Constitution. This was a Marxist or a communist at its heart takeover the last 4 years, and it needs to be cut out like for that it is.
Yeah, I couldn't hardly hear you, brother, but I'm sure it was exactly what we needed to hear. Anyways, yeah, going around, I'm going to go to Dave next and give him a chance.
I'm the entertainment guy. I like going to X and stuff for entertainment. Man, we've got it now with Trump there. It's just making my day every time I open my phone. But as far as real stuff I'm looking for, it's 100% the border. Send it all down there. Send them, 100,000 troops to the border, build a wall, shoot at people who are throwing rocks at you. Let's get this thing locked down and make a statement about what's going on. And that's just going to, reverberate across the world about America is not messing around anymore.
Yep, 100%. Mike?
I want to see the A-10s retired out of Air Force service and moved over Customs and Border Patrol. And I
You're still trying to. Yeah. Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. John's computer just lost its internet. No, it's back.
He has to let himself back in the room now. Gotta love hotel internet.
Yeah. Can't hear. Chris, you're on mute. And the hits just keep on coming.
Hotel interview or internet.
No, you got to kill your volume. No, actually, the hotel internet sucks balls, so we're hotspotted to phones, and it's creating all kinds of issues. But my answer is really simple: more days like today, where we get to spend time with my good friend, our good friend Don Mann, Dr. Jen, and my new friend Ken Shamrock. You're going to hear about that as much as you hear about Mar-a-Lago. Just giving you fair warning that Ken and I are new buddies.
Hey, and I'm buddies with John.
One time at SHOT Show.
John,
Yeah.
Me and buddies with John Johnson.
Yeah, we're all
Best
cool.
friends. Yeah.
They're fine.
So mine will be I really want to see some movements on gun rights. I want to see the ATF abolished and gone. Let's let this freedom of speech push reverberate into the Second Amendment, because that's what protects freedom of speech. And if we have a more robust ability for people to own guns and to train and do all this stuff, and we don't have these states putting these unconstitutional laws through. And I'm doing this because I'm at SHOT Show, but man, it's important. If you guys don't realize how important the Second Amendment is, it is, besides the First Amendment, the most important. And I would and 1A, in all honesty. That protects everything that we have, our ability to fight the government, both in the public square and possibly with physical means. So yeah, that's important. Real quick, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for all that you guys do. We wouldn't have a show without you guys, and we're really appreciative. So look for us tomorrow night, same time. I think me and Dave will probably be flying back to Illinois at that time. But we'll be with you guys in spirit. Chris will be running the show from here, same time tomorrow. Until then, like, share, and subscribe. And God bless America. USA.
Safe trip, John.
Good night.
You want to tell me what this is all about?
As I fight through the battle with the party of death, I take a look at our right and realize they're barely left, cause they've been commies and tyrants so long that even Joe Biden knows it and his mind is gone. But I ain't never gonna stop cause we didn't deserve it. They even took some shots, but you know what I'm made of. They monitor your speech and they track your movements. You better watch your thoughts in case they disapprove it. I really hate to trip, but I gotta low. Psycho woke, I ducked the bullets and the pistol smoke. Fool, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be like, on my feet, yelling fight, taking shots from the scope side. We've been spending most our lives living in the tyrant's paradise. We've been spending most our lives living in the tyrant's paradise.